Hey everyone, welcome back to the Pitch to Purchase podcast. I am your host, Lisa Rabel of Rebel Girl Marketing. This week, we're going to be talking about something that every business owner, in my humble opinion, needs to hear because we have been fed a massive bucket of lies. And this lie has to do with the fact that sales owns revenue. Sales doesn't own revenue. Their role is to bring in revenue, but they don't own revenue. And I'm going to stand on the soapbox for a while, so hang on to your hats, because every role in your organization touches revenue, influences revenue at some point or another. See, and the lies that we've been told is that sales brings in revenue, so they must own the revenue responsibility. But before sales even gets involved, before you even know a customer exists, 50 to 90%, according to the American Marketing Association, 50 to 90% of the buying process has already happened. And that's marketing's role. Because putting the marketing out there to the right people at the right time, saying the right thing, that's marketing's role. And so they're responsible for that part of revenue. And then sales sells it. And then after that happens, it's operations and shipping and fulfillment and delivery, that whole client experience once you have a customer. Their roles touch revenue. And so what I want to talk about today is the fact that if you understand that every role touches revenue in your organization, lots of really, really positive things happen. And it's not about we've been doing it wrong. See, what happens most of the time is that somewhere between the 5 and 7 year mark, a lot of organizations start to plateau. Could happen earlier, could happen later. I'm just saying on average. It starts to plateau or stagnate. And they're like, I don't understand. We got here by doing all of these things. Why is all of these things not getting us to the next level of sales? And it's not that you've done anything wrong. Actually, it's the complete opposite. It's because you've done everything right. The reason that sales is stagnating is that your business has grown. You've added people, you've added products, you've expanded where you're selling. Revenue has grown, and congratulations, that's amazing. But what happens is that you need to take a step back. You need to take a step back and say, just because these activities have gotten to where we are they going to get us to the next level? I find this so interesting. What happens is that when a business starts, there's a purpose and there's a passion and there's a vision of what you want to do. But when you get successful, a lot of business owners actually forget why they started their business in the first place. They get so busy with the day-to-day. They get so busy with waking up and just trying to survive that day. They forget the whys of why they started their business in the first place. And what's interesting is they're busy adding people to make sure that, that production happens or that sales happens or that marketing happens or whatever that is that you're adding people to. But we didn't tell them why their role is very important to the organization as a whole. We gave them a task list. Go do this. This is your job. This is what I'm paying you for. Go do this. And we forget to tell them why it's important. And that's where systems break down. That's where sales start to stagnate. That's where revenue plateaus, profit margins start to shrink. This bucket of lies that we've been told is that sales is responsible for revenue. If we think about it, every role at some point touches revenue. And when your team understands how their job affects the jobs of other people in your organization and why it's important that they do their job well and on time and in budget and all of those things, they understand the ripple effect of what happens while they're doing the job, like how they're getting, and how the person before them affects their job and how their job affects the next person. It's like this whole system, and it's out of alignment. And so what happens is that once you go back and you step back and you understand how every role affects revenue, you do a better job of communicating that to your team members, because marketing happens before a sale exists and the client experience happens after a sale happens. So Sales is not in charge of revenue. Your entire organization is in charge of making sure that revenue happens. You see, when people don't understand the impact that their job has, retention goes down, turnover goes up, innovation goes down, productivity goes down, employee satisfaction goes down, the client experience suffers. But once they do understand it, a lot of really amazing things happen. See, recently I wrote an article for a magazine, and the research that I did for this article was just profoundly impacted the message that I've been saying all along about every rule affects revenue. Let me just give you some stats. I'm going to read them off here. So according to an article that I found on Effectory, engaged teams drive 23% higher profitability, more efficiency, more productivity, and higher profitability. Yes, please. Here's a couple more. Clear expectations increase motivation, job satisfaction, retention. That's from Talent Logic. And from Rework, I found it says that work quality improves, leading to better customer experience and stronger ratings. That helps marketing with their job. So again, once we understand the alignment of all the different roles you have in your organization, some pretty fantastic things happen. So here's my quote, and I'm going to read this to you. Every company has two organizational structures. The formal one is written on the charts. The other is the everyday relationship of the men and women in the organization. That's a quote by Harold Janine. Now, let's talk about that just for a minute. In marketing, we call it B to H, business to human marketing. It's a term that we have. But when it comes to internal communications, it's called human-centric communications. Because I can't tell you how many books that I've read, so many books that I've read, is that it goes back to the fact that we hire team members and we think of them as team members and we stop thinking of them as human beings. And human beings at their core, now I'm going off my psych minor here, but human beings in their core want to be understood, they want to be heard, and they want to know why. Why is this important? And not in a controversial kind of a way, in a clarity kind of a way. Because all of these things that I'm talking about right now build clarity in roles. It builds clarity in the alignment between departments. And that clarity is going to increase your revenue over time. Now, I understand as business owner, you're like, Lisa, this is a great concept. It's great in theory. But quite honestly, I can't apply it in my own business. Yeah, I'm going to call BS on that one. Because I hate to tell you this, but you're not the only person in your company. Well, you are if you're solopreneur, but I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to the people who have employees, who has a team, whether it's 5 people or 50 people or 500 people, it doesn't matter. Clarity of roles is what's going to increase your revenue, not just more sales. Now, when I talk about human-centric communications, what I mean is that it's not the do what I say, not as I do. It's not the this is your role, you should do this. This is not a stay in your lane, don't ask questions kind of a thing. Because what happens in some of the best organizations that I've worked for, the roles are clear, but the lanes cross over a little bit. Because when one department is struggling and another department can help, they help. The thing that I really want you to understand with this podcast today is that because every role does touch revenue, it's not about more sales. It's not. It's about understanding what happens before a sale happens. It's about understanding what happens after a sale. And so I'm taking this from the Sahel Bloom's book, The 5 Types of Wealth. And it talks about mindset and clarity and having the different kinds of wealth. And part of those wealth is the physical, but it's the social, it's the actual like financial wealth. But all of it relates back to one thing. Humans being human with other humans. And so for me, first of all, I really recommend that book. But for me, what I want to talk about is the fact that there have been times where I've been in organizations, and this is my WTF moment for this podcast. Like I've literally stood in a boardroom. The CEO is on the other side of the table, and I've got sales and marketing and operations and like shipping and all these people in here, right? And sales and marketing are on the opposite sides of the table, literally yelling at each other. Yelling at each other. I brought you leads. Well, your leads suck. You didn't follow up. Well, you did like I'm stuck. I'm like literally standing there going, look at the CEO going, what is happening here? First of all, adults yelling at other adults, shame on you. So I made them, because they were acting like children, I made them get up and go to the whiteboard, and I asked them the same questions to write down, what company do you work for? What is the end goal in your job? Who are the people on your team? And here's the part that got me on that last question is that the only people that they named on their team are the people who reported up to them. They didn't include the people that they work alongside of, all the other leaders in that organization. Mistake number one. But both of them work for the same company, obviously, and both of them are responsible for the growth of the company. They have the same goals. They're trying to run each other off the road. They're going in the same direction, but they're trying to I don't know, what is that called? Bumper cars? I don't understand. No, we did get through it. We did finally work through everything. We talked about multiple different things. Compensation was obviously part of that conversation. But at the same time, what happened was they didn't have clear roles. Marketing didn't fully understand what sales was trying to do, and sales didn't fully understand what marketing was trying to do. And so we worked out a system where they work closely together. At first, it was very tricky. At first, it didn't go very well. But over time, they started to understand and respect each other. The whole purpose of this podcast is I want to shift your mindset. If you think sales is the only department in charge of revenue, I want to flip the script on you. I want you to think about every role in your organization and how it touches revenue. Because what happens is you, the leader, you, Mr. Professional, you, Mr. Business Owner, or Miss Business Owner, Miss Professional, I want you to understand that when everybody understands the ripple effect of their role and how it affects the flow of revenue, great things happen, positive things happen, and it can be done. I want you to enlist the leaders of your organization and how you can implement this. And then once you have it implemented throughout your organization, don't stop there. What I really want you to do is make it part of your onboarding process. Because how great would it be if you added a team member and they knew exactly what their expectations were? They know exactly what their role was. They know exactly why it's important to the organization. You're going to set them up for success. Now, this is part one of this topic of every role touches revenue. So what I'm going to do is the next episode, I have a friend of mine, Rick, from Living as a Leader. He's going to come on and talk about how leadership, how when they embrace this, it makes their life easier. Honestly, it does. Because it's got to be a top-down implementation, a top-down mindset of this every role touches revenue. So that's it for this episode. If you have any questions, I'd love you to reach out at lisa@rebelgirlmarketing.com. I'd love to hear what your questions are. But the other thing is what I really want you to do is I really want you to sit back. I want you to close your laptop and turn off your phone, grab a pen and a pad of paper, and write down all the roles in your organization and what their job with responsibilities are, and how their job affects other roles in your organization, and how they touch revenue. And build an org chart based on that. Build a timeline, like before a sale happens and once a sale happens. Like build a timeline. Figure it out. Sit down and actually think about it. Take an afternoon. Take a think afternoon and figure it out. Because it can happen, and I'm telling you, and I'm promising you that great things will happen once you figure all of this out. And shameless plug, if you need help figuring that out, let me know. That's what I do. So until the next episode, it's time to raise the bar and, I don't know, maybe a little hell. Have a great day, everybody. Cheers.